was saying is this drives me nuts about the airlines as well. As Jen and I were going to fly to Kalispell, I had a job interview out there, and she checked the Alaska flights, and she said, they're booked, but we can still book a ticket because they'll overbook the flight. Which to me, if you're overbooking a flight, you're selling something that doesn't exist, and it's fraudulent.
100%, dude.
So then you show up at the SeaTac airport needing to go to your job interview, and they say, "We're sorry, sir. The flight is overbooked. We'll try to get you on the next flight." And that to me should be fucking fraud because you sold me something that doesn't exist.
And like, there's no possible way that they don't have an exact understanding of how many fucking seats are on their plane, how many they've sold. Like, are they doing that because statistically this many people won't show up?
I'm sure they want that flight packed.
Yeah. So like, this is their way of ensuring that every single seat is fucking sold at the expense of telling you, hey, sorry. So they told you that when you were going to Kalispell?
No, we ended up booking a flight to Missoula and then driving 2 hours to Kalispell just to make sure we got there when we needed to be there.
Okay.
Because we couldn't trust the flight that was full.
Bro, the fucking the whole airline thing. I mean, the last 2 years, it's gotten exponentially worse.
Yeah. And
for whatever reason, that industry has decided they're all in with this fucking weird government enforcement. And a lot of places have been. A lot of fucking restaurants and shit you go to, they're all in and they're like, excuse me, you have to put a mask on while we walk to the table. But a lot of them haven't been too. You know what I mean? Like, you find a mix of people that are all in with it and then people that are like, this is bullshit. The airlines, it's like 100% of them are fucking all in on just going out of their way to be fucking cocksuckers to you. And I've had people be like, excuse me, sir, can you pull your mask up just a little more? And it's literally like a millimeter off of the end of my nose. They don't have to care at all. No. But they're choosing to.
Yeah, and for some reason, it's the stewardesses and stewards who have chosen to deputize themselves to just be assholes to the customers on the flight. And I don't understand. If you paid me that salary, I couldn't give zero fucks. Here's your Chex Mix. Here's your coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck off.
Well, bro, it's. I mean, fuck. This whole podcast could go down this whole direction because a lot of people are like hungry for some type of authority.
Yes.
And when you have no authority in your life, and they're probably in relationships that they don't get respect in, they probably don't have respectful relationships with their parents. Like, if you were to fucking dive into somebody's life that is just being a masked Nazi on an airplane, they're not happy in any aspect of their life.
No. They're trying to flex whatever little bit of authority they can find.
And this is their chance to fucking be able to. It's like what people say about police officers all the time. You know, they're bullies and now they want a badge and a gun. Yep. And I always say on the show, I don't think that that's an accurate like a depiction of a police officer. That police officer does exist, but I don't think that that's the majority of them. Just like that's probably not the majority of flight attendants, but there's a certain percentage of people when you put them in a position to tell other people what to do, instead of doing it in a respectful manner, they're instantly fucking pricks, dude.
From the outside in, that is my perception of majority of police officers, is I assume there's a few like you and a few of the other guys we know, and the majority are sort of bullies with a little bit of authority to flex. And that's probably totally unfair, but that is like from a public person it's almost like they've created that with their little thin blue line thing. And there's a lot of attitude toward the public, I think. Like, you don't know what we've been through, what we do. We're on this side of the thin blue line.
Yeah.
I think they alienate the public a lot with that attitude.
No, and I see that side of it too, man. And it's like, yeah, I don't know exactly what you're going through. Just like you don't know what it's like to patrol in Afghanistan for 9 fucking months.
Yeah.
Getting 1 meal a day. Like what?
Or who knows? Maybe someone's got a special needs kid who's having you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That cop doesn't know what it's like to. Everybody's got their own
shit.
That's
what I was going to say. As soon as you start giving you don't know what it's like well, of course not. Just like you don't know what it's like to fucking do what you do, you know?
Yeah.
But no, it's a weird time we're in, because I feel like and I don't know if it's by design. A lot of people think it's by design, but they've created a culture in the world of law enforcement where extremely compliant people that will follow orders are still willing to be part of that profession, but they alienated a lot of their free thinkers and a lot of guys that are like, you know what, this doesn't make sense to me anymore, or I don't feel comfortable doing this. And you get rid of enough of those people. And dude, I know because my inbox has been fucking filled the last 2 years from cops that are like, drop my fucking retirement today. I could have done 4 more years, but
good for them.
Or other ones that are like halfway done. And, you know, they're like, you know what? I can't fucking take this anymore and I'm done. And so this isn't just like something that happens here or there. I get that story all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So we know that a lot of good people out there that aren't willing to be put in the position that a lot of police officers are being put in. And it can be the fucking mandates or it can be whatever, right? But they're not down with how the government is treating them and how they're treating people, and they're fucking done.
Good for them. And the problem with that is it leaves the compliant, non-independent thinkers in place.
100%.
And I saw a little. I had an inkling 15 years ago when I applied with Everett PD, and I went through the process. And when you interview with like the city council, and it pretty quickly became obvious. Like some of the things where it was like, have you ever been in a physical fight? And had I answered yes, I would have been immediately disqualified from the hiring process. And so, bro, I lied my ass off through that polygraph.
I did too. On both my polygraphs, I lied my ass off.
Yeah.
Because they don't, and the system is now being built, is being curtailed to people that have never pushed the boundaries, have never experimented with drugs, have never, I mean, fuck, dude, when we were 21 years old, getting drunk and fighting dudes was called Friday night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sport.
Yeah. It's like, that doesn't make somebody, 15 years later when we were applying with these police departments as 35-year-old men, like that has nothing to do with who I am now. In fact, if anything, that's some life experience, like being kind of wild and getting in some shit. Like what that does, it actually puts you in a mental state where you can communicate better with people that are in that kind of environment or in those kind of altercations. Cause that used to be you.
Oh, totally.
So when you're responding to a group of fucking drunk dudes that are fighting and it's like, okay, I know how to talk with these guys.
Yeah.
Some fucking nerd who's book smart, who's fucking never done anything, shows up to some fucking house call or a party and is now interjected into that environment. How the fuck are you going to take any type of command presence of that situation?
Oh, and I've been saying the same thing about the teachers too. So you and I have both pulled our kids out of public school because the public schools here are a fucking wreck. But when Nathan was still in the public school system here, I remember going to some of the school events or the parent teacher conferences, and it's like, the women in charge of his life 8 hours a day, their life experience is they grew up in Mill Creek. They went to WSU, joined a sorority, got a teaching certificate, and came back to Mill Creek.
Yeah.
That's what they have to offer my son. And if you think like, I don't know how your high school was, but all my favorite teachers were Vietnam vets who'd then kicked around a little bit, worked in like auto shops. And I don't even know if they were really qualified to be teachers. They were, because they were teaching like wood shop and metal shop and auto shop. You know what I mean? But they were the ones.
No, those are the people that had the most impact on you.
And they had life experience to share with you.
Yeah,
they had experienced life, and so they had, even if it wasn't, they weren't telling stories all the time. Somehow they just related better, and they had actual relationships with the kids in the classes.
Yeah. Well, and I would say this too. I mean, if you're that young lady that graduated college and is now teaching at 22, 23 years old, and you don't have life experience, that's okay, because you need to walk some path. And if that's the path you're walking, that's fine. But don't start influencing these kids and subjecting them to your opinions in the way that you think is right, just because of however, like the conclusions that you've drawn in your life, because you don't have the experience to draw sound conclusions yet.
Absolutely.
And again, that is a reason why I pulled my kids out. They're telling her what to eat. They're talking to her about all the gay shit. And it's like,
and they're telling my boys that they can't, wrestling is not allowed on the playground and football is not allowed. And I think even tag eventually was banned because tag singles out one child to be it, and that might hurt its feelings.
Bro, yeah,
It's fucking ridiculous.
You want to fucking talk about?
Good luck explaining to 8-year-old boys that they shouldn't be wrestling and playing tag. And so Nathan would come home upset from school, and it's like, oh my God, like I'm having to explain to my 8-year-old that he's not in trouble, that he's doing normal things, that football is fine, wrestling is fine, tag is fine. And he's just like, I'm having to teach an 8-year-old to ignore his teachers. That shouldn't come until he's closer to manhood, when we're having the talks about getting in trouble for the right reasons and questioning authority.
Yeah.
On and on. But
it's fucking,
in first grade, to be like, hey, listen, the recess lady's wrong. Go ahead and do what you want to do.
That big, fat, Jabba the Hutt looking bitch blowing a whistle at you. You don't need to listen to her because she hates tag because she never tagged anyone her whole life.
Or God, who even knows?
No, I know.
She's just being told that, somehow the kid who's it is going to have bad feelings. Like, no, they're fucking not. They're playing tag. They're having fun.
Well, and here's the thing, dude, and this is actually a perfect segue because I've been wanting to talk about this on the podcast because what do we see nationwide? Anti-bullying campaigns, anti-bullying. And like, they've taken anti-bullying and like made it a thing, you know? Dude, we need more bullies. I'm going to start a pro-bullying campaign because, dude, when a fucking little kid is treated in a poor manner by another little kid, he has to go through those emotions. Yeah. And dude, I remember this like clear as day, being in Cathcart Elementary, like in the fucking, what was it, second grade? Yeah, it was second grade. And there was a boy at the bus stop that would say mean stuff to me all the time. And I'd go home sad because this kid was being mean to me. Yeah. And my dad's like, okay, well, you can either go to the bus stop every day and be sad because this kid's saying mean shit to you, or you can make a fist just like this. And he shows me, he goes, put your thumb on the outside. Okay. Don't get your thumb out of the inside, put it on the outside. And he goes, and then you put this fist right here, points to his nose, as hard as you can. And he's like, you do that, then it ends. Yep. And sure as shit, dude. It's like, that's a very normal progression of as a young man learning that, okay, if people are being aggressive or mean to me and I stick up for myself, now they're no longer going to do that.
And it's good to learn at a young age before you're really going to, like, second graders punching each other. They're not going to hurt
They're not going to hurt each other. Yeah. Fuck no. And so now we have 25-year-olds that have never learned that lesson.
Exactly. And they don't know what to do when things don't go their way, right? And pitch a fit.
And someone says something to them that they don't like. It's like, oh my God, you can't say that. It's because you're racist. And it's because, and like now, I honestly think the whole state of our country is partially to blame because we're not teaching young boys how to be fucking men anymore, and like embracing their masculinity and celebrating that and teaching them how to stick up for themselves and teaching them how to deal with bullies. And so we fucking nerf everything, you know? And then if anyone says anything mean to you, you run to the teacher. No. And then they're going to deal with it. Yep. And it's got to a point where now nobody knows how to stick up for themselves.
Exactly.
And now when the government just fucking comes in and big runs over you like a fucking freight train, nobody has the fucking balls to be like, whoa. Not me. Not today, motherfucker. Yeah. And so, and it all starts with bullying. And like, when have you, they always say like, oh, well, the bullying is leading to suicides, And it's like, well, I didn't fucking see bullying lead to any suicides in my generation.
No.
None.
No. Led to a few fist fights.
It led to plenty of fist
fights.
A
lot of times you ended up friends after.
100%, dude. And so you want to talk about what's leading to fucking suicides? It's probably all the fucking medication that you're pumping into our children and it's fucking their brains up.
Well, not only that, and then you're telling boys that they're wrong for these aggressive like feelings that are, you can't beat biology. You know what I mean? Like,
like dude.
These people who think that, like their daughter's going to be a virgin until she's 24. Like, dude, sorry, but you go through puberty, you become interested in sex, and that's what happens. And you can't beat biology. And the same way that girls are drawn, like, it's sort of funny because I have extended family who are pretty progressive, and their daughter likes to play with baby dolls. And I'm like, oh, that's not very progressive of her to us take a gender specific role of a woman and desire to want to nurture children. But by the same notion, the boys are like, my boys wrestle from the time they get out of bed until the time we yell at them to stop touching each other and get back into bed.
And they want to fucking shoot each other with their Nerf machine guns and play ball outside.
Yeah. And so you can fuck these kids up by telling them that masculinity is toxic and that it leads to things like domestic violence and aggression. I think it's actually the opposite. A strong man doesn't do any of that shit. A strong man is the safe space for the female and the family to be around, right?
Yeah, dude. It's weird how masculinity is like attacked in our culture, but then these same fucking whack jobs are like celebrating. You see all the fucking memes going around Instagram. It's like the Ukrainian government is giving machine guns to people that want to fight.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Like, but you're telling me that I shouldn't be able to have more than 10 rounds in my Glock.
Yeah, turn mine in.
Like, you can't have it both ways. Do you support men that are willing to fucking go out in the streets and fight and throw down and fuck dudes up and take machine guns and go into rooftops and build bunkers and fuck people up? Like, is that something you support? Or is that not something you support? Because they support it when it's the other side of the world. But over here, they want everybody to be fucking pussed out pussies, you know?
And I think it shows how mushy their brains are, because this is just the next chapter of the narrative that, like, more and more this could be a whole nother episode, all the World Economic Forum influence into Western governments, on, and how the narrative has been scripted, and we're kind of all seeing it all. It feels like it's all playing out right now. Like, this is their big push for home base.
Well, let me ask you this then, because you're a very intelligent person.
Debatable.
No, but you look into stuff. You're well read, and you're a critical thinker. With the Ukrainian shit, I don't know if you saw the meme I sent yesterday, or I put out on Instagram, and it's a guy hypnotizing another guy.
Oh yeah, it's just,
and the first thing is George
objects.
Floyd, and everybody fucking, oh my God, George Floyd. Like, George Floyd is a useless piece of shit.
Yeah.
And to think or say otherwise, like, you're out of touch with reality. Now, could we discuss the fucking nuances of what happened to him and probably could have been handled better?
He was still murdered. But he's also a piece of shit who should not be canonized.
Yeah. And
just because lots of bad people get murdered in inner cities.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them heroes.
And like, our whole fucking country went crazy over a motherfucker that used to rob pregnant women at gunpoint. You know?
Yeah.
Like, good riddance, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then the next thing was the COVID. They're hypnotizing with COVID, then hypnotizing them with the vaccine.
Yep.
And then now they're hypnotizing them with Ukraine. And it's like, bro, I don't think there's light at the end of the tunnel.
I don't either.
I don't think there's enough critical thinkers. I think most Americans, I mean, it's like we said before we started recording, as long as they have food in their belly and they're warm.
Yep. And Netflix to stream to pacify, to keep that brain mushy.
It's not going to fucking change, bro.
No.
You know?
People are so easily pacified.
But the Ukrainian shit, and I've looked into this, and I made a video about it too, being very open and honest. Like, there's so many moving parts. There's so many key players. Like, I don't have an understanding of exactly what's going on. But if you look at it, the Western government put their government in place in 2014.
2014, yep.
And Putin said, I don't want a NATO military presence on my border, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about this. What if Putin put a Russian military presence on the Mexico border?
Or in Cuba, like happened. We had a fucking Cuban missile crisis.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like, is he completely out of the realm of reasonableness? And then as soon as you say anything about Putin possibly being the reasonable one, man, everybody's like, man, you're a fucking idiot, this and that. And it's like, I don't know. And, I'm not saying Putin's a fucking great guy. I don't know much about him. But what I do know is, like, just common sense and energy and vibe you get from people. Like, if you want to ask me who I trust more, our administration or Putin's fucking administration, it's like,
he's an alumni of the WEF Young Leaders program, which all conjecture at this point, but it all feels scripted at this. You know what I mean? They're crashing. The dollar is crashing. It's working, but this is part of establishing and in fact, last week, Joe Biden signed an executive order to establish a U.S. digital currency, or maybe it was to investigate the steps needed to establish a U.S. digital currency, which if you guys are listening to this, you should be really concerned about everything going digital because, as was shown in Canada, which, by the way, Justin Trudeau, also one of the young leaders of the World Economic Forum.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are facts. Like I try not to speak in conjecture on something like this where other people are going to be listening to it. But you can look up their alumni list and see that Putin and Trudeau are both involved in this. So when the Canadian trucker convoy rolled into Ottawa, they just froze any account that was supporting them.
Yeah, without a court order.
Yeah, and if you abolish cash so that you can't physically pay for something, everything has to run through a central bank credit system. All it takes is somebody not liking something you said or something you did, or let's say you're wrongly accused of a crime, and then they just freeze your account. Now you're shut out of society, and that should concern everybody.
Bro, if people aren't concerned right now, they're gonna be real fucking quick.
I think they'll wait. It's you always say the frog in the boiling pot. They'll wait until it's it will be when their account is frozen and they can't go shopping that they pay attention.
What about when gas is $12 a gallon? Is that going to be
as long as Netflix is on?
Fuck, man, because I think
sit
about
on that couch and drool.
I think about it at some point when the shit that is happening to us starts to negatively impact your own life. Is that when people are going to wake up and start fucking having issues with it? Because once gas is $10 a gallon, and dude, it's $7 in some places today.
Yeah.
Like this 10 is not out of the realm of possibility. And as soon as gas is $10 a gallon, all the people that live, I think I read a statistic, and who knows if it's fucking real or not, but 65% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
I believe it. I work with guys who make good money, like low six figures, and they just have poor management skills and they're struggling.
And the more you make, the more you spend.
Yeah.
With a lot of people, you know, but like if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're commuting, and now, like, I mean, Tyler was talking to me about it yesterday. He's like, it'll reach a point when the commute will cost more than your,
I think we're already there. I mean, imagine trying to work in King County. So that what's their minimum wage? Like $15 an hour.
Yeah.
That's another problem is people who are staying in minimum wage jobs into like later adulthood. But again, imagine you're living in Marysville because you can't afford to live in King County on $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Now your commute into King County to your shit job costs what, twice as much? At what point do you just go, all right, fuck it. I'm not going in today.
And then I think about like my whole business is the fitness industry. Is where people go to train as both as, you know, a hobby and then something they do to maintain their health and fitness. But once you're fucking broke, what's the first things that are going to go?
Oh, yeah.
Probably your gym membership, you know? And so I'm like, this will be interesting to see what happens with memberships if it goes up to $10 a gallon. So it's like, I know it's going to start affecting my personal business before too long.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the other thing I was thinking about is like the way that my family spends our summers is out on our boat. Like, boating is going to be fucking done, dude.
To tell the girls to get out some fucking paddles.
Bro, I mean, in today's prices, it'll be $1,200 to fill my boat up. $1,200. And that gives you, we get probably about 4 trips on a tank, right? 2 years ago, it was $300. $300. And then that would, like I said, you'd get, 4 trips. So for $300, you have a full month's worth of boating. Yeah. And that's when you're looking at like a family activity, $100 or whatever a weekend, that's reasonable. Bro, fucking $1,200 to $1,500. That's another fucking mortgage just to go fishing on the weekends. Yeah. So there you go. So now I have a boat that was really fucking expensive. That's just going to be a giant paperweight in my backyard. Yeah. And I'm not the only one. Everybody's life is going to start being affected by this.
Well, it affects even think like someone who's motivated and entrepreneurial, because I'm on the bubble. Like, do I pull the trigger on starting a firearms training business or do I not? Because again, my initial investments are probably going to be like $5,000 to $7,000. So I'm going to need to charge for the class. You know what I mean? The classes are going to cost $150 to $200 each. Mm-hmm. And then You're relying on people having disposable income to pursue their interests.
Yeah.
Because when things get tight, you buy food, you pay your bills, and you hunker down.
Yeah. And so like the first wave is me bitching about not being able to go fishing, or you not being able to sell fucking defensive pistol courses to people, right? Which people might be like, oh, you know what? That's a big deal. It might not be a big deal right now, but it's an indicator of the direction of what's happening.
And think about like the 25-year-old who wants to start a business doing whatever, construction or as an accountant. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what, but anyone with an entrepreneurial spirit right now is probably going, oh, fuck.
Bro,
this is not the right time.
You know Zach. Zach is like a son to me. He's 19 years old. And I went and hung out with him this weekend. We talked about some shit. 19 years old. He works as a plumber full time, right? And I don't know exactly what he's making right now, but he's doing, I mean, it's a similar path to what you walked. You start out in like an apprenticeship or whatever. Yep. And, but as a 19-year-old working full time, you should be able to live on your own.
Yes.
He can't even get close to it. He's like, bro, I looked into some apartments or some like maybe getting a house and sharing, you know, like a 3-bedroom house and splitting it with 2 other buddies or he's like, no fucking way.
Yep.
Like on my salary. And he goes, I'm working full time and there's a 0% chance. There's 2 things that he wants to do working full time. He wants to buy a truck because he's plumbing. Like he wants to be able to have a truck with his tools and equipment.
Yeah.
And he wants to move out of his house. And he goes, I've ran all the numbers. It is impossible to do that right now.
I know fully licensed journeymen, again, making low 6 figures who are living with their parents so they can save up enough money for a down payment. Because if they pay rent on an apartment,
yeah, you're fucked.
That whole paycheck is just gone and they'll never get anything into savings.
And it's like, fuck, man, that's not just over here, over there. It's starting to affect everybody. Even my daughter's like, because, dude, we literally have my buddy Shane, my buddy Johnny, a couple of our friends that have a house that's comparable to this, right? They're a little bigger. Like this is 2,500. I think theirs are like 3,200. So like maybe the next size up, but they're in neighborhoods, like cookie cutter neighborhoods, just like this. They both got $1.3 million for their houses.
Jen and I are looking at what we could sell our house for right now and going like, holy shit.
And what I want to know is like,
is that money going to be worth a fucking thing in a year? It might not be.
But middle class neighborhood like this, $1 million? Who is paying $1 million to be able to live in a house like this? We got this house for $330 in 2015.
Yeah.
All right. And the housing market's been inflated to fucking all hell. But your fucking paychecks, your salary hasn't fucking tripled since 2015. You know, it's definitely, I mean, it's went up too.
Yeah.
But not to the extent that the housing markets went up.
No.
And so now that the housing markets went up, guess what's becoming a reflection of that is renting too.
Oh yeah. And perfect story. So the job interview in Kalispell, one of the things we noticed is that their real estate prices have shot up just in the last 2 years because people are fleeing the West Coast, get the fuck off the West Coast. And their wages haven't caught up yet. So we're looking at what they're offering for an electrician versus now houses cost, you know, their electrician wages are about half of what they are here. And their housing market has caught up to us. So it's like, oh crap, how would you even make this work?
It does sound like the housing thing is not unique to the West Coast. It's fucking everywhere now, huh?
Yeah. And I wonder if it's like a shortage of skilled trades, and then it goes back to like, look at Zach. So he's a plumber, not able to make ends meet. So how long are kids going to keep going into plumbing? And if you want your poop to go away when you flush the toilet, you need to have plumbers in your society. So you got to kind of find this balance of, you know what I mean? You want your garbage men and your plumbers and your wastewater treatment operators and your electricians to be able to afford to live in your city, because when you need them, you need them.
Yeah. No, that's interesting, man, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're gonna fucking create
when the garbage men, when their commute is no longer worth the cost, what are you gonna do with your trash?
Fuck, bro.
And if the wastewater treatment guy goes, you know what, it's not worth driving in today. What do you do when your toilet backs up? What do you do?
Or not even not worth. It's just it's math. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this no longer works.
Yeah.
I show up here every day and put in this many hours so I can have a house and I can feed my kids, and it doesn't work anymore. And dude, here's the other side about the, like, our fucking government's just like, oh, electric cars. Like,
Everybody go buy a Tesla. They're only $75,000.
they're only $75,000.
No.
And guess what?
Take out another student loan.
The trucks bringing your fucking milk aren't electric.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we are still going to have to fucking rely on fossil fuels.
Yeah. And hey,
so people
dipshits,
can eat food.
Yeah. Where does your electricity come from? Because when you're going to be charging your Tesla is probably in the evening. And so here in Washington, we like to pat ourselves on the back and think that all our power comes from hydroelectric, but I think about half of it comes from a coal-fired plant in Tennessee. So we're burning fossil fuel right now here with the lights on and recording this podcast. And then to further that, the grid can't just ramp up at 5 o'clock in the evening when everybody turns on their stoves and their microwaves. So they fire off what are called spiker units at your local switchyard that run on either diesel or propane. So when you're charging your Tesla in the evening, you're charging it on fucking diesel. So, yeah, I guess
I didn't know that. So
way to go, AOC, with your Green New Deal. We'll all have $75,000 car loans for electric cars that we charge on propane and diesel.
And bro, I mean, they're talking about making it mandatory here by what year that everybody's in an electric car.
Yeah, I haven't heard.
Oh,
this one's new to me.
No, bro, it's Washington and I think Washington, Oregon, and California.
Oh, like you can grandfathered in, or just all new cars have to be?
I think all new cars have to be electric.
Yeah. I think California said by like 2028. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I was going to say 2030.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, bro, I mean, when you kicked around the idea of recording today, you said you want to talk about some leadership stuff, right? No, this is, I honestly think this is a perfect segue because we don't have a political problem here in America. We don't have a racist problem. We don't have a problem with police. We have a leadership problem.
Fuck yes, we do.
Because leadership encompasses all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
If we had the right leadership in the profession of law enforcement, then they wouldn't be fucking bending a knee to these political elite cocksuckers. You know, if we had the right leadership in corporate or in Congress, or I was going to say in the media, right? Yeah. Like you listened to that episode with Ivory Hecker a week or two ago, and it's she talks about her own leadership. It's funny, the parallel between her story and my story. Her own leadership's like, hey, Ivory, we agree with what you're saying, and this isn't fair, and this doesn't feel right, but corporate said this is what we have to do.
And they'll sell out for a paycheck so they can go home to their McMansion
100%, dude,
and drool on their couch watching their Netflix, and they'll sell their soul for a fucking 3,000 square foot house.
And that's what she said. She's like, a lot of the people in like, not at the corporate level, but like the, mid-level executives or however their chain of command in the media is structured, are making a couple $100,000 a year. They're doing good. They have a fucking 4,000 square foot house. Whoever it is usually like the family's breadwinner. And now we're just going to fucking, I'm just going to do what I'm told.
And they're selling out their children.
Yep.
And they don't even think about it.
And so if we could get sound leadership across all professions, in law enforcement, in media, in politics, if you had sound leadership, it would correct all this stuff. But man, most people, and it's disheartening because when you look at the landscape of our country, we see it happening across all professions, this wide spectrum across our country. Most professions, they will do what they're told to secure their fucking paycheck, even if it means compromising your integrity, compromising your values. Yeah. So how do we fix that, dude? I don't know if you can.
I think you have to start talking like, and I don't know that anybody's going to listen to two former infantrymen with what do we have, like an online bachelor's degree between the two of us? But,
hey, I got my bachelor's in sports physiology. All right. But yes, it was online.
I have a certificate in electrical construction.
But bro, I mean, intelligence is only part of the fucking a piece of the puzzle.
Well, what I think needs to be recognized is the split between management skill and leadership skill, and that they're not synonymous. They're not one and the same. And so I kind of wonder if, like, at highest levels of some of these companies, are they hiring someone? Again, we're talking about control of populations or whatever. If you're a CEO, are you hiring someone that you can control and who will just file the paperwork you tell them to file and cross, because that's a manager.
Yeah.
But if you hire a leader, it's a little, what's the word? How do I want to say this? It's fucked up because you're trying to micromanage the entire system.
And then you're putting a free thinker in there.
Well, you don't put a free thinker in. You don't put a free thinker in there if you hire a manager.
Yeah.
But that forces you now to micromanage the process, which if that's what you want to do, I guess that's what you want to do. But that's a lot of work and a lot of stress. And one of the things I always say is that if you hire strong leaders underneath you, you can really start to back away if you train them right, if you do your own leadership correctly, train them right, establish duties and expectations and standards, followed by training on that, then you can start to back away. And I always say, like, my little tagline is hire someone you trust and then trust them. And if you're going to hire me and you find that you don't trust me, fire me.
Yeah, it's time,
I don't
for
want
me
to be
to fucking
there.
go.
Anyway, because I am an independent thinker. And the reason I hit you up 3 weeks ago about kind of pulling this episode out, what did we talk about this like 2 years ago? Almost. Dude, you've been doing this for 2 years.
A year and a half now. Right. The video that went viral hits 2 years in May.
Okay.
And then it came shortly after that. So yeah. So
I think the first time we talked about our Ranger stories, we threatened to do a leadership podcast in the future. It took a year and a half. But anyway, so I had an experience at work where I was working for a person who was good management skills and terrible leadership skills. And it just became untenable. And I just finally had to I sent a message into the director of labor, and I was like, hey, I can't be here anymore. I can't do this. And it's because I'm a free thinker and someone who's a manager will attempt to micromanage because they need all their I's dotted and T's crossed just perfectly. They won't allow that sort of like, hey, as long as we've established our mission statement, as long as you're moving the ball toward the goal line here, you do you, and we're all good. But instead it has to be a manager will micromanage because that's what they know. They're not leadership is more, it's a soft skill. It's not, you can't really define it or teach it. I think people are either born with it or not, and you can develop it in so much as it exists within you, but you can't take someone who doesn't have leadership skills. And the army was guilty of this. They'd be like, all right, this E4, we're going to make him a team leader E5. Like, hang on, that guy does not have leadership skill.
Yeah.
This is not going to work out. And corporate America does the same thing where they're, okay, this person's been in this role for so many years. They've never fucked up. They filed all their paperwork. Bam, leadership. And I think you saw that a lot with the Marshal Service as well.
Bro, I was just going to say, it's the exact same thing with corporate America as with these giant government agencies inside of the Department of Justice. And it's like, I don't know if it's necessarily by design or just kind of by default how things are shaking out. But you get these people that, like you said, they're good. We used to call them beasts on paper, right?
Yeah.
Because like their reports look good.
Yep.
When they take their promotional tests, their tests look good. They have good scores. You see what she scored on her promotional exam, and that's all fine. And if you want that to be part of what you look at to promote someone, that's fine. But when you put all of the weight on those styles of assessments, you're taking out the humanity of it. And the best leaders are usually the people that have a command presence, that are charismatic, that can talk to people, that can problem solve in real time. And then the biggest thing is they're usually the people that don't want it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a burden. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Real leadership is a burden.
When I'm running a project, I lay awake at night and I'm like, oh crap, I'm making mental lists. I'm awake staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. thinking about all the things I need to get done before 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, just so I don't, you know what I mean? Like, just stressing out about it. And I fucking hate it. But at the same time, I also enjoy running a crew. Like, it's rewarding, right?
But when you understand that leadership is a burden, and it shouldn't be something that And I'm kind of torn on this. I go back and forth on it because with more responsibility, you should be compensated more, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're running a crew of however many people and the buck stops with you, obviously you should be compensated for that. But then the flip side of that is people are chasing leadership positions because it pays more.
Yes.
And if you're chasing a leadership position simply so you can make another $20,000 a year, but you're not competent in that, and the people don't trust you, and you don't have like good camaraderie with your team, you're chasing this so you get a little more money, and now you're put in that position. That's where the wheels fall off. And I saw in the Marshal Service, my fucking supervisor would call me in her office every morning, every fucking morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, Anderson, okay, so the chief told me that he needs deputies to do this, and then at this time we need to have a prisoner move over here, and but I just think that it probably makes more sense to do this. And I'm like, okay, so you're articulating to me that you have all of these ideas, but you're not able to implement them. Why are you not able to implement them? Oh, because the chief said he wants it done this way. And I said, well, this is what I would say to him then, okay? And I know I'm the crazy guy here, but this is what I'd say. Chief, if you want everything done in the manner that you just fucking articulated to me, then I'll just step down and I'll be a plain old deputy.
Yeah.
I don't need to be you clearly don't need a supervisor, right? But if you want to keep me in this supervisory position, then let me run my crew. Let me make all of these decisions. Let me fucking put the manpower where it needs to be, and develop the timelines in the way that I think they need to be developed. And if it doesn't work, if you see how I run this crew and you find deficiencies, then by all means fire me.
Yeah.
But let me run my crew. Otherwise, I'll step down and I'll just let you run the crew, because that's what you're doing right now.
Yep.
I can't, Greg, are you crazy? I can't say that. I can't say that to the chief. I said, of course you can say that to the chief. Nothing I said was disrespectful or combative. It's like, let me be the leader in the position that I'm in, or let me step down. That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
And that's an abstract idea, dude. You're crazy. I can't say that to the chief. I was like, fuck the chief.
Yes,
you can say whatever you want, but that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. If you hire someone for that position, let them run that position. And if you feel the need to micromanage them, it's either it's you. Your leadership sucks.
You put the wrong person in.
Exactly.
So fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. And the other thing that it seems sort of broken, again, corporate America, law enforcement, is that everybody, like you said, it's ego and a paycheck. They're looking for that extra 10%. They're looking for that extra 20%. They want the ego of being the project manager or the foreman or the team leader, et cetera. And they have this attitude of, you guys need to come in here and do what makes me look good. And it's backwards. So the real way to lead a team, to lead a crew, is you work for them.
Yes.
And so again, the reason I'm laying awake at 2:00 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, is I'm making sure that I do everything so that the guys who work for me have a successful day. And I don't mean that as an easy day. It might be a hard day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it needs to be a successful day, because then they leave, they're happy. They want to be people end up wanting to work on my crew because they end up feeling good about themselves when they're walking out the door at the end of the day, because their day has been, again, maybe hard, but successful and productive. And people like being on the winning team, right? Like there's a
dude, if a touch is a tribal need. Dude.
Yeah, it's a camaraderie and like an esprit de corps, right? Yeah, like we're on this crew and we've been kicking ass and we're 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Blah, blah, you know what I mean? They feel good about that. And so I look at it as, what do I need to do for them so that they can have that day after day, that successful day. And I don't worry about kissing ass up. My results are just going to, it's going to take care of itself.
That'll do all the kissing ass you need. Yeah.
When I'm constantly 2 weeks ahead of schedule and under budget, it gets noticed. And honestly, if you have a real manager above you, they're just going to be annoyed if you're up there trying to kiss their ass.
Yeah. No, and then the other thing, and I talked to, I mentioned it on the episode coming out on Thursday. I talked to a police chief down at my last Guns and Geese camp. And when I first heard he was a chief, I was like, oh, we got a chief here? Because most chiefs I've dealt with are not the leader that we're looking for.
They suck
It's
their
the
way into the
manager,
office.
right?
Yeah.
This dude was the leader we're looking for.
Oh, good.
And it was cool to see. But talking to him, and he's like, man, really, I got one job as a chief, and that's to make sure that my people are taken care of and they have what they need to get their job done.
Fuck yeah.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's such an easy concept to grasp, but very rarely is that implemented.
Yeah.
And if your people in the same, leadership is leadership. You could be fucking wiring a hospital like your crew, or you could be doing patrol in fucking downtown Seattle. Leadership is leadership. Yep. And if the people on the ground know, like, okay, like if any unforeseen issue pops up, or I have an issue with this person, or we have a problem with the budget, or we have a problem with material, whatever it is, and I reach out to Foulke, he's going to take care of us in the best way that he can. Right. And I like what you said. You said, it's not an easy day. It might be a hard day. The problems that come up, they might be fucking like tedious, and it might be fucking like a process to go through all of these fucking steps to implement whatever needs to be implemented. But they know in their heart, dude, Foulke will do what's best for us.
And I'll get in there with you too.
Yeah.
The harder it gets, the more likely I am to say, step aside, hand me your tool. You know what I mean? Like, hold my beer, kid.
You want to hear how crazy it is in some places? So Boeing.
Yeah.
One of my best friends.
I've done projects inside Boeing, and just looking at those people, I know where you're going. Sorry, I cut you off.
No. So a good friend of mine has worked his way to the top of Boeing very quickly.
Okay.
And he ran a construction company. It was his company. And when the housing market crashed in 2008, he lost everything. And he went to Boeing and started riveting fucking planes at like their lowest salary, whatever it is. Yep. And immediately, like, eyes were on him, like, oh, this dude used to run like a massive construction crew. And so it was no time before they're telling him, hey, bro, you are now going to be in this position and this position. Now he's worked his way up pretty high. But once you go from a person that turns wrenches into any type of management position, it's inside of your contract that you can no longer physically touch tools.
Oh, technically I should not either. But that doesn't stop me for two fucking seconds.
He said one day he was walking around doing his fucking whatever inspections in the morning, and some of the guys that were using, I forget what tool, but they were using they had air hoses, right?
Yeah.
And the air hoses were draped across some of the walkways, and he goes, not like directly across, just kind of draped onto the walkways. He goes, so I walked down there and I pulled all the hoses off to the side, just so, I don't want people fucking tripping on these. And some super high ranking person saw a manager putting hoses away, and he got talked to about it and said, hey, just so you know, like, when we told you got your promotion, you can no longer touch tools. That includes fucking coiling hoses up and putting them away. We saw you doing that earlier. And it's like,
call it a safety issue.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said. He goes, that's a safety issue. They're like, nope. Then you direct somebody. Like, I can't even believe we're having this conversation, because what is one thing that we've always been told as young Rangers? Like, ask nothing of your men you're unwilling to do yourself.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Ask nothing of your men you're unwilling to do yourself. And if you fucking carry that thought process as a leader, man, you're good now. And dude, another thing, I know I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but I've been thinking about this. I think we need to, as Americans, propose legislation that members of Congress have to be on the front line of wars that they declare.
Oh, yeah.
A certain percentage of them, because it falls back into ask nothing of your men you're unwilling to do yourself. Because you or I sitting here right now, if we looked at some global issue and said, man, this is so important that we need to send young Rangers there. I need 21-year-old men fighting and dying on the front lines. I need that for our safety or for whatever the mission is. If I felt that in my heart, you better goddamn well believe we would be willing to go to.
Yeah, that should be the litmus test is
100%.
Are you willing to go?
Yeah.
Then don't send someone else's kids.
And dude, they're so fucking out of touch.
But there's so many, I mean, their salary should be equal to their constituents' average pay. Like, there should be term limits. There's all these things. They shouldn't be allowed insider trading. I was just listening. I was telling Greg before we started recording, I was listening to the Sean Ryan show, and one of his latest guests wrote a book about China's influence over American politics. And our senators and congressmen are deeply corrupted by Chinese influences. And a lot of times it's not directly, but they're literally married to people who are in business with the Chinese government. And it's so fucking corrupt. Congress and the Senate have become corrupt. And it doesn't matter. Everybody thinks, oh, I vote Republican or I vote Democrat, I'm good. No. It crosses the aisle. It doesn't see D or R, blue or red. They are all, I shouldn't say all, there are a lot of them who are in bed with outside influences that should not be allowed in our government. It's treasonous and it's traitorous.
Well,
it's straight up, they're straight up fucking traitors.
When Nancy Pelosi has $120 million, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Because
same with Mitch McConnell. Like you and I tend to focus on the Democrats, but if you listen to that interview with this man who wrote about the influence, Mitch McConnell is deep in bed with the Chinese. He's the leader of the Republican majority.
Mm-hmm. Nope, bro. It fucking needs to change, and it's not going to.
No,
until people are starving to death.
Yeah,
and then when they're starving to death,
then we'll drag the
guys like us
out on the street.
Yeah, and then guys like us can say, "See, we fucking told you so." But all these people that are comfortable either A, living in fear, or B, comfortable living in this fake utopia that we've created. Like we've said several times, if they're fucking warm and they're fed and their Netflix works, they are not willing to push back at all.
No.
Once all that shit's taken away and the people that do push back, they're going to be slaves. Like they think that like they follow orders now and they do what they're told now. Wait until there's fucking men out there that are like us.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you going to do then? Like,
it is like you think about how opposed people are to discomfort. And it's the reason why months ago I was like, I don't need to wear a mask anymore. So someone might say something under their breath to me in a store. They're not going to fight me.
Yeah.
They don't have, if they're wearing it and they probably got their nose out of it, which means they realize it's bullshit, but they're just afraid to go again. You know what I mean?
The chin strappers are the worst, dude.
If they're afraid of a sign on the door that says you must wear a mask, they're sure as fuck not going to fight me on the floor of the grocery store.
100%, dude.
So, and like the more I look around, I just look at people. Tyler probably has some influence in this, but I'm just like, look at these fucking berry pickers.
Yeah. But dude, I think human beings are berry pickers. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like when
but that's why you'll seek out a strong leader.
Yes.
And that's why that soft skill of leadership always it's why I couldn't exist with a manager that didn't have leadership experience, because that strong leadership tendency always gravitates towards like a position of leadership, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It floats, right?
Yeah.
You'll kind of float up, and people who don't have that or who are comfortable being comfortable, they'll look for a strong leader who can just sort of keep them comfortable, and they can live in their little space of everything's hunky-dory. Greg's taking care of it. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And like the books and the movies and like history remembers all these crazy motherfuckers that like went off the rails and started coups and drug world leaders out in the street and strung them up or told the king to fuck himself. Like all of the stuff that we grew up reading and watching, like William Wallace, it's like, oh yes, dude, that's how people were back then.
You know what's crazy?
That's how one person was back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like he may have been able to inspire enough people to fucking actually make a change. But I think human beings in general, like there's a certain, like, what's that saying? Go out, give me 100 men and 90% of them are fucking cannon fodder. And then you got 9 that are that are fighters.
10 are fighters, or 9 are fighters and 1 is a warrior.
Yeah. And I just think
he'll bring the rest home.
I think that's just the reality of the human experience. And it might not even be anything to say in a negative connotation. A lot of people just might not have the capacity to be confrontational and stand up. And it's like, it makes me mad when I see people like that, and I call them fat fucking pussies. But bro, that might just be the majority of human beings just may not have the capacity.
Just need to punch rivets.
Yeah, exactly. And so if these fucking corrupt cocksuckers at the top of the food chain understand that, which they clearly do.
Oh, yes.
They clearly do.
Yes.
I don't know what the path out is.
It's
You know, I don't know what it is.
Things I don't know if I want to say online.
Yeah, of course. But like, me and Tyler were talking about this yesterday. He stopped by and smoked a joint in my backyard with me. For the first time in history, though, the weakest, slimiest, scrawniest motherfuckers have figured out a way to use wit to be in charge of the toughest son of a bitches around. Like, this is not how the animal kingdom works. And that's what differentiates humans from the animal kingdom. People are using their brains in a manner where they now control. Like, you think Gavin Newsom wants to lock himself in a cage with me? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
they understand their position. They understand their capabilities. They're weak.
Yeah.
They're not fighters. They're not aggressive. They don't have heart, but they're using, they know how to manipulate and they know how to control, and it's fucking it's working, and it's worked.
I wonder if they'll be their own undoing when they start. Again, if you end up with a central digital currency so you can freeze people out, because then you make people desperate. So when you make people stronger,
desperate people are dangerous.
Yeah.
You know,
at the point you've got nothing. Again, it's like, I've got my 3,000 square foot house. I don't want to, I'll just do whatever Fox News tells me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose that. At the point you lose everything.
Now what?
Fucking watch out. Right.
Fuck, dude. You know, this whole fucking podcast has just become anti-government fucking message, you know, but it's like.
But the government's become corrupt.
They become so corrupt.
Infiltrated and corrupt. And honestly, I'm tired of it. It drives me nuts that people aren't talking about it.
Well, bro, in every fucking little detail of my life, I see this government corruption front and center.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, I'm building a new gym. I'm in the process of it. Have I talked to you about this process?
I know enough from the first gym and then just from working in construction.
Well, dude, so yeah, this is my second gym that I built, but it has been 10 years since I built CrossFit Lake Stevens.
Okay.
So now the requirements to build a facility now, it's night and day. It's not even the same fucking. Like, me and Jenny are both like, dude, we've already done this before, and we feel like we don't even know what we're doing.
Did you have to have a migratory bird study?
Well, dude, let me tell you this. So we found a contractor to build. We got under contract with them. Okay, like, we signed all the paperwork. We're going to use you, put the down payment in. And they said, okay, the next step is applying for a permit. I'm like, okay. Now, before you apply for your building permit, you have to apply for your building or your site clearing permit. So I have to have a permit granted to clear the site for the building. Then I can apply for the building permit. Mind you, the building's going in an open field.
Yeah.
Like, it's grass out there. It's already staked. You can drive by and fucking look.
Yep.
So we need to do a building permit and a building site clearing permit. So in order to do these, Jenny reached out to the county and they said, this is what you need. You have to have an LDA application, which do you even know what that means?
No.
You have to have a health district form, a targeted drainage report, your drainage plans, your site plans, your BLA documents, an architectural plan, a building code summary worksheet, your building floor plans, your energy calculations, your geotechnical reports, pre-submittal conference reviews, project narratives, your site plans, your structural and lateral calculations, your structural plannings, and your submittal checklist and vicinity maps.
God damn. And these are the same people that complain that housing is too expensive.
Yeah.
Like, why can't, or they're complaining about the lack of affordable housing.
So check this out, dude.
And more than 50% of your building cost is going to be, it's not the building, it's the permits.
It's all this bullshit. And so I took this list to the company that we're under contract with. And I said, they said that I can't apply for a permit until I have all of this stuff in. And I said, I know about maybe 5% of that list makes sense to me. And he goes, man, trust me, it gets exponentially worse every year. He goes, in order to apply for a permit, you have to contract out with a third party to be able to get all that document completed or get all those documents completed. So he puts me in contact with this company, and it's called like I won't say who they are, but they are like a site preparation planning company, right? This is what they do.
Yeah.
And the girl that I worked with was very helpful. She knew all of her shit. She got all of this done and got us all the documents. It took them 48 hours to get all of the documentation that we need in order to apply for a permit. $6,000 fee.
Jesus.
$6,000 just for one person to assemble all of the documents we need just to apply for a permit. And it's like, you motherfuckers don't realize, like, it goes back to what we're saying, like a young entrepreneur that wants to start any type of business.
Yeah.
You make it impossible, dude.
Yep.
$6,000 before I'm even applying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what the permit itself is going to cost.
Oh, dude, a lot.
You know?
Yeah.
And then they're like all of these little rules and regulations, and you can have this much area of impermeable surface. And your driveway counts too. Yeah. So, and it's to the point where you can't even build a fucking building in your own yard.
Somehow our government went from being of by and for the people to actively working against us. It has become a relation. It's a oppositional relationship.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, what percentage of the American workforce is some type of government employee?
Oh, it's got to be.
What do you think it is? I don't know. I mean, is it 50%? I don't know.
I doubt it's that high,
bro. Because if you think about that doesn't produce.
Exactly.
It's not. It's just taking. Yes. It's not producing. Yes. So if you have a massive percentage of your workforce that takes and doesn't produce, that's not sustainable. But these motherfuckers, I am not some fucking super savvy businessman, but running my own business, you start to understand like money in versus money out actually matters.
Fuck yeah,
and if you don't fucking pay attention to that, and you don't budget for that, and you don't fucking base the manner that you run your business based on those numbers, guess what? It doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
So now you have I always say you need a fucking government that runs their government like a business.
Yes.
And that's why fucking everybody was spun up on Trump.
Yeah.
You know, you can say whatever the fuck you want about him grabbing girls' pussies or saying mean things on Twitter, but the dude has built some very successful fucking companies. Oh, well, he went bankrupt this many times. And guess what? So have most of the entrepreneurs I know, because in order to put yourself out there.
Most East Coast construction companies, that's a tactic.
Well, and also like you put yourself out there enough and you take enough risks, they don't always work in your favor.
Yeah.
You know, I did an episode with the Novaks, who are good friends of mine, and they're the most like financially successful. They're some of the most financially successful people I know in my circle. And they've risen and fallen fucking a handful of times, because when
was a good episode.
When you have everything on the line and you're putting yourself out there, it doesn't always work out.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, we've allowed this government that doesn't create
career.
It doesn't produce.
Yeah.
They just fucking
look at our governor. I think he went to law school and then he went into politics.
Yeah.
What does he understand about when his budgets run empty? He just establishes a new tax.
Just raise the taxes.
Raise taxes or establish a new fee. And they don't understand that money, like you have to produce. Money is not, you can't just print money, which again, now they're doing like
crazy. They are
again.
doing that now.
It has to be backed by a good or a service. And so, the ratio of producers to takers is getting wildly askew, and there'll be a tipping point where it can't, it just no longer is sustainable, right? Like if you're not producing something that somebody wants or needs, and we get to the point where you have too many like bureaucrats that they produce nothing. What do they do other than suck up a paycheck?
Well, and bro, I mean, how many stories have you heard about like, oh, well, this county executive created another position.
Yeah, for his budget.
The assistant to the county executive.
For $120K a year.
And they sit there and they drink fucking coffee together all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
While the fucking taxpayers pay your fucking salary.
Yeah. While they drive up. Meanwhile, we've got $5 gas.
And dude, every little bit counts. And that's another thing you learn as a fucking business owner. Like, dude, if I change my gym membership rates from 125 to 135, like this is how big of an impact it's going to have. This is how much more expendable revenue we're going to have at the end of the month to reinvest into new mats or fucking like every little bit counts.
Yeah.
And what the government doesn't realize is like, to them, every little bit doesn't count.
Right.
That's why at the end of the fiscal year, I've talked about on the show, like,
Just increase the deficit.
yeah. Or how many times have you heard this? And tell me, have you heard this in the corporate world, or is this only the government? Hey, if we don't spend all the money that we were allocated this year, we won't get as much next year.
Yeah, no, that would never happen in a private company.
That's what I'm saying, right?
And people think we're making that up, but we're not.
Oh, no.
In October, in the Army, you have what's called spending exercises, where you just go dump ammo and munitions and all kinds of shit just to spend it. Because
Spendex.
Spending exercise. If you don't use it,
You
you don't get it. You don't get the same. Your budget will shrink the following year.
And I've told stories like, you remember when they would like literally give us a pallet of fucking frag grenades?
Oh, dude, I
and
threw
just
my shoulder.
And just be like, oh yeah, I think that was the episode that we were here fucking drinking with Tyler talking about that. It's like, hey, take fucking Alpha 3-1 and throw 1,000 frag grenades.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
But you get that you got that in the Marshal Service too. The end of the fiscal year, be like, hey, Greg, our training budget's this. Everybody go ahead and put in for training. Like, everybody put in for training. We didn't spend our training budget this year. And I went to an MMA school, the Arena, in Southern California, and did MMA with a bunch of Navy SEALs out of Coronado for $5,000.
Holy shit.
That's what they paid for me to go fight with Navy SEAls. And here's the fucked up thing about it. At the time, I was already a brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I was already done with all the MMA shit that I'd done. Like, I was already the guy in the office that was probably the most highly trained in fighting to start with. Is that the deputy you need to spend $5,000 on to go train with some SEALs for a week? Like, and you know, looking back on it, it's like, man, I was part of the problem.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time,
they're going to spend it one way or another.
They're going to spend it one way or the other. So guess what? I'll go get mine. But we have to get away from I'll go get mine. We have to realize, like, dude, okay, that was $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. How many other little, like, it's just one pallet of frag grenades. You start looking at all the little pieces and how much money is the government wasting constantly?
Dude.
Bro, we can't even wrap our fucking brains around it.
Look at the material we turned over to the Iraqis that became ISIS fucking vehicles, and then what we left behind in Afghanistan. It's like built.
What does a Black Hawk helicopter cost?
A couple million, like 50 million, I would guess. I'm
just Fuck, guessing. I bet it might be more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Like, you look at a cockpit of a Black Hawk and there's 10,000 buttons.
Yeah. Well, just the ComSec and that shit's expensive. But yeah, and it goes back, like, I can remember my dad saying, if you can't write a check for it, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
And everybody needs, bro. And that's not, our government's just more like they've got an open account again on the American taxpayer. Like, yeah, just fucking spend it.
My dad used to say the only thing that you can go in debt for is your house.
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
I don't expect you to pay cash for your house, but you better fucking pay cash for your cars.
Yep. And
you better pay cash for your like, if you can't pay cash for a new coat, you don't need that new coat.
Yeah.
You know? But like, dude, I'll go to buy something on Amazon for like $200 and it'll be like, you can finance this and you can pay 37 payments of $650 or whatever, you know? And I'm like,
what?
People are financing a fucking or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, if it's a $200 purchase that you need to finance, you don't need it.
Yeah.
Period. But everybody is, or I love this one. This is what people say. Oh, I need to build my credit. It's like, I need to build my credit too.
$36 at a time.
And I didn't have a credit card for almost all of my life until
I got stranded in fucking Jordan because my debit card had a $500 limit and I couldn't buy a plane ticket. It's like, I better get a credit card just for emergencies.
But fuck, man, like, and another thing that I said last episode that like is very applicable to this is what they're doing is they are legislating us all into non-compliance, right? And it can be with building permits. Because like at the end of the day, I can't put a septic in my building because you told me it's going to be a $30,000 process.
Yeah. My car tabs were going to be $650.
So because you're in the whatever zone.
Yeah, to pay for the light rail that will be to my house by like 2042.
Yeah, and so you can fucking ride it one time and then step off into the grave.
Yeah, So I just stopped paying car tabs. I don't register my truck anymore, and that's where we probably have to go.
That's where I was going.
Numbers,
And it's $136 ticket to not have car tabs. Roger
I
that.
don't think they're pulling. But Washington police also aren't allowed to pull people over anymore.
Yeah, but think about it: $600 for the sticker, but if you don't get the sticker, $136 ticket. Yeah. Like, okay, well then this is what I'm going to start doing. But I'm thinking about this. They're going to legislate us all into being criminals, both like criminally and civilly, with like building codes and stuff. I can't put a toilet in my gym so people can take a shit unless I give you $30,000. Yes. And when I had a private company come out and bid the job, $6,000 to dig it out, put the fucking drain field in, pour all the rock, run all the piping, $6,000. But the county says I need to pay them $30,000. That's 5 times the amount. So I'm not going to be able to do that. Or also like with the new magazine ban, you can't, when you're walking around protecting your family in public, you can now only have 10 rounds in your gun.
Conversely, someone can shoot heroin on the sidewalk and scream and or literally attack your family.
Yeah.
And they'll be out of jail in 24 hours.
There's a million
but if you have 11 rounds in your pistol.
There's a million fucking incidents of rabid, crazy fuckers attacking people all up and down the West Coast. Yep. And it is psychosis that is fueled by fucking drug addiction. Yep. And if anyone doubts that, go be a police officer for more than 10 minutes. Because I saw that shit every fucking day. Yeah. And now you want to tell me that I can now only have 10 rounds in my pistol. My pistol carries 15 plus 1. It'll always carry 15 plus 1 because anyone that's ever been in any type of combat engagement knows ammo gets expended in about 1/10 of a fucking second. Bro, I burned through 30 rounds in an AR before in Ramadi so fast that I'm like, what the fuck? What? Yeah. How? Oh shit, mag change time. It almost surprises you because you don't realize how fast you in a real world engagement that you burn through that shit. And I look at it like this, like, dude, you and I have been, we were in service of this government. We were fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq. They sent people like us all over the fucking world to fucking push the US agenda with fucking saws with 200 round drums.
Fucking Predator drones.
Yeah, Predator drones. Like, they'd give us literally anything that we wanted. AT-4s and Laws and Carl Gustavs. Like, that's cool to enforce your shit on the other side of the world. Yeah. But when I'm back home, I'm not trusted enough to have an 11-round magazine. Fuck you, dude.
Meanwhile,
fuck you.
Yeah. If someone wears a patch that designates them as an agent of the government, they can have all that shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which, once again, the government is supposed to be of, by, and for the people. And somehow we've gotten to a spot where it's oppositional.
Yeah. And like, you can have an AR with a go bag full of 30-round magazines. You can have 100 rounds if you fucking are a police officer.
Yeah.
And not only, and here's where I draw issue with it, not only on duty, as a police officer, when you have credentials, you're good to carry your shit everywhere. Oh. Bro, I've carried AR-15s with backpacks full of magazines onto fucking commercial flights. Because when I was a U.S. Marshal, your credentials, you fly armed.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, so I would fucking fly armed. And you get all of these passes to do whatever you want because you work for the government. Yeah. But as soon as you don't, fuck no. Exactly. You don't get this, you don't get that, fall in line, behave. And it's like, dudes like us that have never gotten in any trouble, nothing on our record, no reason to believe that we're not capable of handling a weapon in a responsible manner. Nope, 10 rounds. That's what you get. Yeah. And if it's multiple attackers and you're in a fucked up situation, then put more magazines on your belt and become more proficient at mag changes.
Well, the sheriff will be there in 15 minutes.
Yeah. And so, like, if you look at every single aspect of our society, they're just tightening the noose, tightening it to where now when we're out of compliance, now you're going to get in trouble. And it's like, how the fuck can we arrive at a place where I get in trouble for doing something the exact same as I did last year?
Yep. I'm gonna try to find it here. I might have it in my phone, but there's a passage from, I think, Atlas Shrugged, where they're talking about exactly that, like legislating the citizenry to the point where everybody on some level is guilty of some crime. because that becomes leverage, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and then they have leverage over you, and they can. It's just another like control mechanism.
I've had that book recommended to me many times, but I haven't read it yet.
Oh boy, it gets just like the American Insurgent, American Patriot. It can bog down pretty good. Yeah, there's some parts where there's some parts that like you're like, fuck yes, this is amazing, and then there's other parts where it's like, all right, I'm just gonna skip forward 3-4 pages here and see if we can get this moving again.
Well, and that's where I've come to the conclusion that I've drawn on reading. And I'm the same way with movies, and Jenny hates it. It's like, dude, if I'm watching a movie and it gets to a point where they've lost my interest, I don't want to finish the movie anymore. I want to turn it off and find something different to watch. But like, she's the opposite. She's like, dude, we've already watched it for an hour. I have to see how it finishes. And I'm like, dude, you just agreed with me that it's boring and that it sucks. Yeah, but I still have to see how it finishes, you know, or how it ends. I'm like, I don't fucking care how it ends.
Turn
dude.
that shit off. Yeah, life's too short to waste on bad books and bad
but books,
movies.
Dude, books are even worse though, because like I already have a hard time staying focused. Like a book has to captivate the fuck out of me.
Yep.
For me to be able to just get lost in it. And dude, Nims Purja, the 14 Peaks guy, his book, bro, I couldn't set it down.
Nice.
And I haven't had a book like that in a long time, where it's like you look forward to having some free time to sit down and
totally.
Fuck, man, I can't believe I had to run my kids to school like as soon as I get home. You know, it's like, it's cool.
Oh man. I'm sorry, I'm half checked out here, so I'm trying to find this passage.
No, it's all good, dude. Now just thinking about all of this shit, man, like another way that it is going to affect me personally is that we run our Guns and Geese program, and it's a nationwide program.
Yeah.
Bro, tickets to this class 5 plane tickets, $1,500.
Holy shit.
It was 3 to 4 from Seattle to New Orleans, $1,500 for this one.
Damn.
And so not only does that cut into my profit as somebody that's running the program, but I think about all of our potential customers. Most Americans have a certain amount of vacation days. They have a certain budget. They have to plan for trips like that. And they put a certain amount of importance on something. Say, okay, attending this is important enough for me to spend this much money. And when you make the plane ticket cost 4 times what it cost before, our potential customer reach is going to be fucking cut in half, dude. You know? And I just think about like all these little things are going to start affecting my life personally in a negative manner, probably right now. Like I would say right now is going to be the tipping point. I won't be surprised if I see membership starting to fall off, less people attending courses, because it's just being nickeled and dimed everywhere we go.
Yeah. So, So I found this passage that talks about the government kind of wanting to get you under their thumb by just passing more and more laws to, like I said, make everybody a criminal on some level or not. So here we go. Did you really think we want those laws observed? Said Dr. Ferris. We want them to be broken. You'd better get it straight that it's not a bunch of Boy Scouts you're up against. We're after power and we mean it. There's no way to rule innocent men. The only power any government has is the power to crack down on criminals. Well, when there aren't enough criminals, one makes them. One declares so many things to be a crime that it becomes impossible for men to live without breaking laws. Who wants a nation of law-abiding citizens?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what it feels like is going on.
Bro, between that and 1984.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. All of this fucking shit.
1984 is starting to read like a documentary rather than a fictional, PC culture and cancel culture. And and I think actually, I think I said on this podcast a year and a half ago, or probably a year ago when Joe Biden first took office, that we're going to see a big escalation in military deployments. And I was thinking Syria and Afghanistan. But
100% you said that.
Here we are. Less than 2 years into his administration, we've got a nice big war forming in Eastern Europe.
And bro, this isn't just something that is being spouted on CNN. Like I know people personally that are in a holding pattern for fucking deployments.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And guys in very fucking specialized units.
Really?
And I'll tell you more off the air.
Okay.
But like, this is real.
Yeah.
This isn't
Oh,
just, I'm not saying that the war is, the reasoning behind it is real. I think the reasoning behind it is fucking dirty, but our men and women are getting ready to go over there.
Yeah. Oh, no.
We're getting pulled into this shit.
Yeah. Isn't Will's son already deployed over there?
Oh, I don't know.
Will from the gym?
I didn't know that.
I believe he is.
Yeah. And so I know some of our specialized units are getting ready to go over there and become operational. And fuck, man, you know, like 20 years of war wasn't enough.
Yeah. Here we go again.
And I look back on us when we were young kids, like, fuck, we were so motivated to go over there. Let's go over there and fuck dudes up, you know?
Yeah.
And bro, we were getting manipulated by the government. Like, what the fuck were we doing in Iraq?
Oil.
Yeah, but bro,
it's energy. It's probably why there's a fight in Ukraine right now is over natural gas
and corn.
Yeah.
You know,
we shut down our own production, and now it's all coming out of Russia. And I think they're paying $8 a gallon for gas in Europe, or maybe it's $8 a liter. I don't know what that breaks down to, or maybe it's 12 a liter. I don't know. It's more expensive.
Yeah, it's way more than over here.
Now. Yeah. So and all these dipshits, like I think France shut down all their nuclear reactors, which again takes me back to all the people who want electric cars. The only way we have figured out thus far to make clean energy is with nuclear reactors. And the only reactors that have had issues are either A, the ones the Russians built, B, the ones the Japanese put on a fault line, or here in the US, it's all the ones we built hastily during World War II for weapons manufacture.
Mm-hmm.
So Hanford is leaking. Hanford was built hastily to what do you call it? Refine the uranium for Fat Boy and Little Boy. So the modern reactors are actually pretty good. Like their safety and quality is really good. It's the only way to get clean energy, or truly clean, or as close as you know, like you can power the East Coast for 200 years, and your nuclear waste fits in like a bedroom closet, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
well, bro, when you got nuclear subs.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry. All these European countries, as part of their go green bullshit, shut down their nuclear reactors, which means guess what? They're beholden to Russian natural gas. And now what do you know? Putin's flexing I forget which commentator was making a joke out of it, but now all of our energy comes from the scariest people on the planet, either the Arabs or the Russians. So it's like, what the fuck are you guys thinking? It feels intentional.
Yeah, I saw a meme this morning by the Veteran State of Mind podcast that I did a couple times actually, and it said Saudi Arabia had a mass public execution yesterday where they killed 81 people
for being homosexual.
Oh, I don't know what it was. Okay. I don't know what it was for, but like, we always want to talk about like crimes against humanity and these evil dictators. And it's like, but if you're our ally, it's all good.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if
we're getting oil from you.
Yeah. If Iran executed 81 people, it'd be all over everything.
It probably did.
Yeah. But it's weird how we give certain places a pass, you know?
Yep.
It's like, dude, I know guys that used to live in Saudi Arabia. One of my teammates.
Genocide is taking place in China right now.
Yeah.
But our senators and congressmen are in bed with them, so they get a pass.
Bro, if you don't pull over during call to prayer in Saudi Arabia, you go to fucking jail.
Oh.
Like, call to prayer happens, everybody fucking prays. And if you don't, it's a fucking problem, dude. You want to talk about freedom and democracy?
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know it's bullshit. And once you know it's bullshit, now what is really going on behind this? Yeah. Like, we want to fucking, it's almost comical that what they're saying about Ukraine is freedom and democracy. Like, you motherfuckers have been saying that for 20 years now, while our freedom and our democracy has went to shit.
Yeah, we're approaching a full control surveillance state.
And so you're going to deploy. When Justin Trudeau said that, literally the day after that lady got trampled by the horse and his fucking cops went out there and were fucking those people up. And the next day he's like, it is important that the Ukrainian people get to exercise their freedom and partake in a true democracy.
That guy is such...
And I'm just like, dude, how the fuck is anybody watching this and not wanting to fucking slap that dude?
He is a piece of shit.
Of course he is.
He truly outed himself over that trucker convoy, but man, fuck that guy.
Do you think our trucker convoy is going to ever materialize into anything?
I don't know, because I would imagine it's being banned, like shadow banned or whatever. So you don't see anything about it. So I couldn't even tell you if it's happening.
Supposedly it's happening. I mean, on Instagram it's happening.
Is it?
But what is the goal? I guess I should ask. What are they hoping to?
I guess when you shut down economy, that's the one thing that these people care about is their money, right? The reason they're in bed with China is for money. They're doing, like, I think Mitch McConnell's wife's dad runs a large shipping company that's affiliated with the Chinese, and so that's why a senator who makes $200,000 a year has
$80 million in the bank.
Yeah, exactly. It's always just goes back to making money.
All right.
Money and power. Like, why? It's funny. People are like, no one at the WEF wants to take over the world. Like, all right, true or false? Napoleon Bonaparte wanted to take over the world. Yes.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great wanted to take over the world. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Hitler wanted to take over the world.
Yeah. Genghis Khan.
Why is it unthinkable that in 2022 someone would want to take over the world?
Why is it unthinkable that human beings will do human being shit? Yeah. Until the end of time. Yeah. I saw another meme yesterday, and it said, humans doing what humans do. And it was like a scene out of a battlefield, like people are chopping each other up and shit. Yeah. And then below it said like a temporary utopia that is like, I forget exactly how it was articulated, but very out of touch with human history. And it was a picture of like a neighborhood like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is an experiment.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, dude, our country in its current state right now, this is the exception.
This has never happened before.
It is not the rule where we can just plug fucking 5,000 houses on top of each other and we all don't know our neighbors and we're all fucking living like fucking ants. But it kind of works. You know what I mean?
I think it's more fragile than we realize.
Oh, it is. It's much more fragile.
The moment, like, again, I'll go back. The moment the water treatment plant doesn't work, your toilet backs up in 2 days, and then people in your neighborhood are going to start dying of pestilence and disease.
Well, dude, talk to Greg Lappin about when Katrina hit New Orleans.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he was a police officer down there, and it went from fucking, hey, law and order is a thing, everything is working just fine, to third world chaos. Dude, people murdering each other over food, people trying to shoot down helicopters and shit. Just
cause.
Just cause. Yeah.
And
like the National Guard helicopters that were bringing in water are taking fire. And it's like, what? Well, that's what happens.
It's like
when your society just fucking crumbles into third world chaos in a matter of a couple days. Yeah. Well, now your helicopters are taking fire.
Yeah. And I think I've said it on the show before, but like, look at what people will do for a cheap TV on Black Friday. Imagine if they couldn't get food.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
No, like I've said it too. We're 9 meals away from going savage.
Yeah.
Your kids haven't had a bite of food for 3 days.
Yep.
And your neighbor has a fucking bunch of rice in his garage.
Yep.
I've always liked my neighbor, but we have a different thing now.
He'll be missed.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to say who it was on the air, but I had a buddy, very well-known person, who's like, you know what? They're going to try and start feeding us all bugs. And he goes, once they fucking fucked up the food supply chain so bad that they want us to start eating bugs, he goes, fuck it. It's time to start eating humans. That's what he goes, that's what I'm doing. I'm done playing their game. You're not going to deprive me of nutrients and protein.
Yeah. It sounds crazy, like tinfoil hat shit. But if you guys go look at the World Economic Forum's own webpage, you will find that they say by 2030, they want meat to be a rare treat that you eat maybe once a month.
Yeah.
This is not, it's fucking right out in the open.
Yeah.
You can just go look at their webpage.
Well, that's because bugs are the most sustainable protein. All right. You motherfuckers that look like Bill Gates with your fucking skinny fat bodies, your guts hanging out. You can't even do one dead hang pull-up. You go ahead and eat crickets. All right. Yeah. I'll be eating other human beings.
And I've had that thought where I'm like, oh no, I'm willing to fight over being able to eat steak.
You should be fighting over steak.
I mean? Like,
bro, it goes back down to what I always say is principle. It's not necessarily could I have some fucking scientist come on here and be like, well, check this out, Greg. Cricket protein is composed of this amino acid profile and is actually absorbed at a higher level and blah, blah, blah. I don't give a fuck, dude.
I'll fight you for a pork chop.
Yeah, it's principle.
Yeah.
And when you're telling me what I can and can't do, now we have a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And that day's coming, dude.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that it needs to be here before we turn 50.
Yeah. Yeah. Or people need to start paying attention.
I'm already aching at 41.
Yeah, dude. Like, trust me. I'm not training tonight because I'm in physical therapy for like 2 different injuries.
I'll tell you this though, my knees feel better.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I want to put that out because I had my stem cells. It was January 27th, I believe. So we're at a little over a month and a half now.
Yeah.
They feel better.
Awesome.
So is it placebo? Is it chance? Who knows what the fuck it is?
So will you go back and have x-rays and see if there's like,
no,
okay.
he said that everybody manages treatment differently. He goes, some people have great results and I never see them again because they're like, fuck yeah, you fixed me. He goes, other people want to have it done like on an annual basis. And then there's everything in between.
Okay.
So he goes, just listen to your body and feel it out and see how you're doing. And if we need to implement more treatments, I'm happy to. Or if you're good, fuck yeah, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, dude, like, my biggest fucking nightmare is we turn 65 and our hips are shot from a lifetime of rucking and carrying machine guns.
Yep.
And we have to watch from our fucking wheelchairs.
Well, it's not only that, but I mean, if you're listening to this and you're someone who's concerned with the direction of things, we should probably get this over with and take responsibility for it before we leave it for our kids to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of, I mean, if you think about it, either we figure out how to deal with it or we leave this fucking mess for our children.
No, and I have people say that to me all the time. It's like, dude, like if you push too hard, what if you get fucking killed over this shit? Then your children don't have their dad anymore. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why we should be pushing.
What
because I have children. That's why we should be pushing. Yeah. Men have been pushing back against fucking tyranny and fucking government overreach since the beginning of time. And it costs a lot of them their lives.
Yeah.
And that's because they understand that in order for the trajectory to change, people have to be willing to fucking put it all out there.
Yep.
Like I have 3 daughters. You think I want to leave them into a fucking world of chaos and fucking violence and government control where they're living in a 10 by 10 pod? And like Tyler always says, you'll own nothing and you'll love it.
That's straight off the webpage.
You know what I mean?
It's their tagline.
Yeah.
You'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. You have no control of your, like, again, do you want to be an entrepreneur? Too bad. That's not what we chose for you.
Go crawl in your pod.
Exactly.
Crawl in your pod and shut the fuck up.
And those people who say that, they're playing into that whole, hey, if the Netflix is streaming and we're comfortable, why fight it? Like,
why do these people want to keep humans alive and have them living in fucking pods? Is it just going to be?
Maybe they don't.
That's what I'm saying. Are they going to make that like a thing and then just fucking euthanize everybody?
I mean, the Chinese are pursuing AI. We're pursuing AI. I got to imagine Iranians, everybody is pursuing AI. At some point, if the AI, I don't even know if AI is truly feasible, but if it is, and it's truly intelligent, it's going to start looking at us as a potential problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, it has to go there. And so I kind of wonder if the fucking berry pickers will just sort of be allowed to die off. Like just seal the pod. No more crickets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just fucking suffocate in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I noticed one thing I didn't say today is that we have 9 hours on this SD card.
I would have called you on it.
But I know you had some notes and some shit you want to talk about. You think we covered everything on your mind, or?
No, it was all based on leadership stuff. And yeah, we covered a lot of it. We also got wildly off track. So yeah, we're all good.
I like going wildly off track. Yeah. People like when we get high and drunk and talk shit. So we apologize for being sober and having a clear state of mind today.
It's 10 o'clock. Oh,
yeah.
It was 10 o'clock in the morning when we started.
But next time we'll get fucking wild and ridiculous.
Right. Fair enough.